Jason?
Yeah, actually, I want to add just a couple quick comments about what you've discussed here tonight and everything.
Yes.
Have you guys looked at to see if there's enough funding available to take on some of these projects?
Well, I'll note your question about funding for these projects.
Just as a taxpayer, I'd just be curious, you know.
Well, I can add that. One of the reasons that I revisited the board policies on the website development were because we will be, shortly involved, very shortly I'll be involved in starting to do some budget projections and those kinds of things. So those are things that if we do need to do them, I want to be able to have that good information so that I can make those recommendations and to do so. The municipal water is something that sounded a little like we should do. So that we may need to just, deal with.
I just want to make sure that, these are fine and everything, but just make sure that there's enough resources available from our end to cover the expenses on this and not cut ourselves short.
And we've always, plan, project, and obviously some things are unforeseen that we have to tackle at times.
Well, and that's the balance that I was saying. I mentioned that word a number of times. I mean, you can develop a state-of-the-art website, but, we have 21 children here. How much information and what other information do we need to do? So it is that balance.
And we may decide, as a board, that we're fine
That's
with what we
that
have.
we're fine.
So, but that's going to all happen through the upcoming months as we start to look forward and see where our finances are coming for some of the additional things that possibly would better the district or maybe would not better the district. So that is a juggling process.
Yeah, just to prioritize, I guess.
Exactly. I agree with you.
All right. What I did sign up for tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about parent communication and also just the fact that, I've sent 3 different emails inquiring about, because it just appears to me and a couple other people that, the district doesn't want parents to communicate. And, I've sent a picture from the handbook last year with, student directory. This year, it's not there. So I'm kind of wondering, why does the district not want parents to communicate? And I sent an email out to Chris. I sent an email out on September 15th to Christine, asking her why I didn't receive a response or an acknowledgement. I followed up again on September 20th with another email that I also copied Wendy at the time, just asking me, just want to make sure that you got the email. Can you please respond just to confirm. Still didn't hear anything. And I sent another email to the board address on Friday, October 3rd, with my same question. And I got a response back on Saturday the 4th saying that the email was received and read, but it was unsigned by anyone. So, I'm interested in getting a response.
I said the Board of Ed, we have received and read. So it doesn't
Did everyone see the email sent?
Yes. Everybody has access to the email.
Okay, all right. Well, the question still hasn't been answered.
I'll pass some of this off to Chris because I know, as far as questions that are opinion-based versus fact-based, I guess I have a harder time responding to myself directly. So I'll pass things off to Chris because I think she's been keeping track of a lot of the questions and concerns more readily than myself.
Well, and I guess I'll start with, over the past number of months, we've had 3 individuals make better than 60 emails, phone calls to you, to me, emails, letters, etc. I won't comment on all of the content of that, but and Jason, you're one of those 3, and so we have responded to all of those. We've responded faithfully to those. And so when I see an email that comes to me that is accusatory, I kind of think maybe I need to just let that sit. We absolutely, respond to folks, but there comes a point where it's not been real productive, apparently, because it keeps coming. It keeps coming. And while we can certainly, sit and talk about, who should report when and where, the flurry of that is pretty significant and pretty heavy duty. So not to answer your question, because I don't feel your question is worthy of answer, frankly, because to accuse us of trying to keep parents from communicating with each other is not the question. The question may have been, why was the change? And I can tell you why the change was. I'm not trying to play semantics, but I am, it's very disconcerting when we have been very professional and very straightforward and have been very responsive to more than 60 contacts over the last couple of months on a wide range of things, including a lot of criticism.
I haven't made 60 contacts.
No, but between the three of you who started coming in March, that has been the situation. So that is my context. And that requires a lot of due diligence on our part, a lot of thought, and a lot of, frankly, professional response. So having said that, the question, I do believe, in between the accusation is, what changed? Well, I can answer that as well. What changed is the board and I have had several complaints about the use of that parent. You're talking about the parent handbook, not the parent handbook, but the common email and directory. We have had several people voice some real concern about that's not what they signed up for. That we had done as a courtesy just a couple years ago, and based on that, we're not doing that. We're not going to facilitate that. What parents, I'm sure, what every parent does, what every person does, if you want to contact people and you want to be friends with people, you get to do that. We're not trying to keep people from communicating with each other. That's certainly not the role of the school district, and it's certainly not the role of the board to do so.
It was originally a PTO thing.
It was originally back when it was something they did, and we continued it for a year. That was, so we ended that courtesy, yes. And so we decided we were not going to do that, and fully recognizing that I'm sure that parents, whether they're in kindergarten or first grade, or parents that have children in upper grades, want to get a hold of each other, or want to have conversation with, in this day and age, I think that happens fairly routinely. That's perfectly fine. I have no position on that. That's absolutely fine. But that's where we are. And so I guess that's...
So essentially what you're saying is you're ignoring any inquiry that I'm going to send to the district now? That's what I'm kind of gathering here.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying...
As a parent, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to ignore my questions.
I did not say that, Jason, and that's an example of this, and I'm not going to debate it. What I am saying is that I would expect the same courtesy from you as you have been given from us. We have been very courteous, very professional, and that's what I'm expecting.
And you're ignoring my inquiries.
And at this point, I have to say, when it becomes an area where I'm looking at versus we're protecting our children, we're protecting their families, we have every right to make changes in what we feel is best policy, best practice. It has nothing to do with what your wishes or what you would like. We're not going against what you want, we're doing what we feel is best as administration and a board right now. I think if you look at other school districts, I know in the school district I work at, they have fully taken out that piece of where it's being allowed any contact going out. Teachers, so things are going through, even with PTO, the guidelines are getting tighter and stricter. I'm just speaking on that behalf. But at the same time, we welcome any question from any parent, any resident, and we do our best to due diligence and respond, and that's all I can say.
Except for me.
Oh, okay.
That's
what you're saying.
So, that's your
That's not what was said.
that's your feeling. But obviously, we have
Well,
touched
it was ignored.
It was
It
touched.
was ignored.
And as I shared with you, sometimes things are more important that we're dealing with at a particular time.
Well, and I guess I would just end on this point that we have been very responsive. We have been responsive to a plethora of contacts, whether it's phones, whether it's emails, whether it's letters, whether it's whatever. And we have responded in a very professional way, in a very informative way. It may not be the answer that you like, but when I then, after all of that, when I get an email that is like that, and even though some of those other correspondences I kind of let go and I try to take the high road on those, I think it would be best if you would afford us the same courtesy as you've been given. That's my point.
Very well.
Thank you. If I could please have a,
Can I just ask one question?
No,
I'm
yes,
nothing
yeah.
on
I mean,
PSCO. I missed last week, month, I didn't realize we were back to signing more papers, so I'm sorry, I'll
That's
sign, I
okay.
promise I'll sign next one.
yes.
I just have two quick questions.
Yes.
And one is, if this is just about that directory, just a question. Do you think, and you can think this over, there would ever be a possibility of maybe just asking parents if they want it to be a part of it? And the only reason I'm saying that is I'm a rather anti-social person, and I'm not out there, and I don't know these people, and, well, this is going to sound terrible, but unfortunately, my children would like me to become a bit more social. And that was just a good way for me to know how to contact with people, and, just a thought, if people maybe had the option to be in one or not, just a thought. And then my other one was truly just a question about that water that you were talking about. I was just wondering, I think what you were saying was that when it broke, it was Troy water, but when it would break, North Greenbush had to fix it.
Because it's on North Greenbush
Okay.
property. Yeah.
Do you know, does North Greenbush, it obviously isn't favorable to them to have to fix it, they don't want to have to fix it, but do they have to though?
I don't
Or
think so.
can
I
they
think
say
it's
we're
been,
done fixing it?
well, they kind of have said that.
Okay.
They have kind of said that. And that's the point. I think it's been something that carried over from, 100 years ago.
Okay.
And the town always fixed it if it broke or cracked or they needed to do something. And then what ended up happening is that it's just older, and I think maybe the frequency. It sounds like a little bit of a match between the two, that it's Troy Pipe, but they're not going to fix it because it's on North Greenbush property, and North Greenbush is saying, we've been fixing it, it's Troy's Pipe, and we're tired of doing that, and we're going to have to come to a point, some point, where we're going to say no. So that's why that conversation. So I think it's more of that.
I was just curious.
Now, it was news to me.
Okay, thanks.
And can I just say one thing too? I just wanted to thank you, my daughter. I called last week, the office responded immediately. She needed some volunteer hours for school, and I appreciate you giving her that opportunity to respond quickly to
You're
my
welcome.
request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any requests for executive? Okay, all right. So I would like to have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Aye. Christian, please. Hold on.